Oh, he got three. Shit.
All right, we're live now. Hey guys, welcome to the BingeZone. On today's episode, we are going to be looking at the OA season 1, and we're going to really go ahead and take a deep dive into the whole mythology, the theories, and everything that happened between the first season and the second season of the OA, because there's so much to uncover, there's so much to unpack here. I decided that doing a series of short videos isn't enough to really dive deep into the whole all the concepts, the characters, and the themes that the show tries to actually accomplish. So we're gonna go ahead and focus mainly on the entirety of the show. That way we'll see how long this video goes and we'll start talking about it. And I'm not here alone. I'm here with my friend Steven, and he's seen the show as well, and he's another perspective, because the show that the OA is a type of show that two people have to really deep dive into the entirety of the series. And just there's so much like this show is there's just so much shit going on. So I want to start off with the overarching character and Prairie herself, the OA, because Prairie as a character and Nina, OA, Prairie, however you want to call her, is such. I don't want to say she's an enigma or a weird character. My thing is
No, she's weird. She miss so.
No, let's talk about it, Steven. Is Prairie as the main character really weird, or is it the circumstances that she's been a part of that make her seem weird to us?
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, you can't like take her out of the situations that she's been. I mean, she to everybody else is strange.
Yeah, to the world that she lives in, she comes off as strange. But to us, the audience, I don't think she's strange, given the situation she's been in. Like going from being part of a Russian oligarch to going blind. Not only going blind, but she was afraid of dreams. Her father took her to a lake, threw her underwater, and damn near froze her to death.
Oh, he didn't throw her. Shit, he didn't throw her.
He didn't throw her, but he made her go to water. So her experiences make her who she is. Now, the funny thing about it is, while Prairie is weird, Nina's also weird in her own right as the Earth 2 or Universe 2 version of the OA. She herself is weird, even though both their trees branch off into two different types of upbringings. They still end up weird, as you say. But
when I first saw him like doing this to his daughter, thing like some people could think that is like child abuse. Like she is in her 90 in freezing ass temperature, going into the water just to overcome her fear. Like that's some shit, man. Like I couldn't.
No, I agree. When that was insane. But I think the people here really want us to start talking about the various concepts of the OA. Because if the first season ended at the end of the first season, they let us believe that maybe Prairie was lying, maybe Prairie isn't seeing what she's seeing. And then when season 2 starts off, it starts off with a whole new universe, a whole new dimension, and we're introduced to, I think, the best new character of the second season, which is Kareem. And because Kareem brings a different element, because if you remember in the first season, we had Prairie, we had her family, we had the boys, we had Hap and all that crew. Everybody was weird, but in this season, Kareem seems like he's like the audience character, or he's like the most grounded of the people in this universe. What do you think about that?
Yeah, up until the end. Shit.
I mean, the end. At the end, I want to let's see the ending of that. Wow, like I knew something was coming with Kareem, only because the octopus, the old one, Azrael, whatever you want to call him, called Kareem her brother. But what's your first, before we go on, I want to know, what's your theory on Kareem?
In terms of what?
In terms of him as a character, like what do you think of his overarching characterization?
Nothing I wouldn't really expect from your average, like I could, that kind of detective that, that doesn't follow the rules and like does his own kind of shit. Like nothing different, outside of that.
Because when I first seen Kareem, I thought to myself, where are they going? Where are they trying to go with the character? Where are they trying to go with him? Because remember, when we came to the scene with Old Knight, we have to remember Kareem isn't part of this world. Kareem actually doesn't know what these guys are into, and then you suddenly have him
Neither
watching
does
her
Nina.
get tentacle raped by this octopus. No, seriously, like when I first seen that scene, right? It was hard for me to try to grasp what they were talking about.
You can't say tentacle rape.
No, seriously, the octopus, the old knight, was groping her very inappropriately, and I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to understand what he's saying to her. At the same time, I'm trying
Close to appropriate groping.
yeah, and I'm trying to figure out because he's talking about Kareem. He's saying things about him, so I'm trying to see what is the overarching plot. And then he calls Kareem her brother. And as the show progressed, we didn't really get much into Kareem's character. But when it came to the end, and at the very end of the series, we see that Kareem is actually the vision that all the kids have been having at the end, and he is. Here's my theory. Let me say it. Here's my theory. I believe that Kareem, if we're going into this deep dive of multiversal nexus energy and all that stuff that's going on in the series, I believe that Kareem comes off as probably the guardian of the multiverse in a sense, because the house, I believe the house is like a multiversal nexus. And if the house is a multiversal nexus, everyone who's been inside, because we saw the character of Michelle from Earth 2 or Universe 2 go in there, she opened the window and she just went brain dead. But when Kareem went in there, he didn't suffer all the things that the other characters suffered. Like all the characters who've been in the house have gone mad, but Kareem has not. So I believe Kareem, if the OA is the original angel who jumps from universe to universe, and she goes around and she can freely move through the universe in the cosmos, Kareem has to be like the watchtower or the watch guardian of the universal nexus. What do you think about that?
Shit, it's more than what I have. I didn't think too much about this afterwards. All I'm concerned is I hope Steve whoops Hap's ass. That's all I want to happen.
I have to say this in the defense of Hap. Like throughout the first season, when it came to Hap, I thought that Hap himself was, what he was doing was bad. Don't get me wrong. What Hap was doing was terrible. But at the same time, I could understand in the name of science what Hap was trying to do. But come on, like there's certain ways you go about your business, and Hap himself was trying to understand some things that could probably benefit all of us as humans, because Hap's main thing was to understand where does the OA travel, where does where are we trying to go? Like Hap was doing it in the name of science, and I believe that Hap himself did it incorrectly, because in the first season, Prairie volunteered to be with Hap, like to go and follow Hap's experiments. However, Hap himself kept him in cages, but his character gradually devolved as the series went on. Like throughout the first season, I was like, okay, Hap, it's kind of fucked up what you're doing, but I'm rolling with you in the sense. And then he started doing the NDE experiments with other humans. I said all the humans, with all the captives, and he started killing them, bringing back a sense of torture. I mean, I don't know if they're humans or not, because Prairie called them angels. So are they angels? And if they are angels, because they can do the movements and they had NDEs, what does that make of the characters themselves, like Steve, BBA, Buck? Are they angels as well? Because they also can perform the movements, and they also, as we saw in the season 2 finale, they can also traverse different dimensions as well.
I mean, the only one that did was Steve, and I don't understand why Steve was the one that jumped. I thought it was supposed to be BBA.
Okay, that's interesting, but I want to say this. With that scenario, I remember Rachel saying that it was only safe for BBA to go, but
yeah,
I came to understand why she said it was only safe for BBA to go. It was only safe for BBA to go just because in that universe, BBA was the only one who wasn't under Hap's control. Because if you remember at that thing, what would we call it? That pool that Hap had with all the boys and their bodies, they were all essentially under Hap's control. And if they were to traverse over there, they'd be stuck in Hap's graces.
They aren't dead?
I don't know, because I thought they were dead. However, I saw I saw Steve's chest rise and fall. Like I saw him breathing. So I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know if that's.
shit.
I don't
Not
know if
paying
that's
attention.
bad acting, right? I don't know if that's.
Nah. Hey,
I saw him breathe, but then with a show like DOA, it's hard to chalk things up to coincidence. So I saw him breathe. So
maybe they're not dead. I mean, it's the whole NDE thing. I guess they're probably still alive, but I guess consciously they're not.
there, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like how what was her name? Michelle. Kind of how Michelle's body was there. However, her mind was in the ending universe that they're traveling to. So
Yeah,
maybe they're
sure.
not dead. So if they were to transfer their minds to their bodies, they'd be under Hap's control. So that's why Rachel said it was only safe for BB-8 to go, because in that scenario, BB-8 was the only one who wasn't in Hap's clutches.
Yeah.
So when it came to traversing the other universe, when it comes to traversing to the final universe that you have, where it's not I thought it was our universe, but it's not our universe because there's a few things different. For example, the actress who plays Brit has short hair, and in real life she has long hair, and Hap and her aren't married. So it's a different universe. I want to call
Yeah, and I looked at her up before I saw season 2. Like, she wasn't married to this motherfucker.
So I want to kind of take it and say that I want to call that universe Netflix. The thing is,
Okay.
the reason Steve was able to go is the same reason that the OA was able to go to the second universe. Because remember at the end when they did the movements at the school shooting and the OA left, she thought of Homer, and therefore because she thought and focused her mind on Homer, she went to the universe that he was a part of.
And the whole will thing.
The will thing. So Steve himself willed himself to the OA because he wanted to protect. Like Steve's whole thing was he wanted to get back to Prairie. So, but when they were doing the movements, the other boys were just doing the movements, and Steve himself just wanted to go to the OA. So I see that's why he transferred his consciousness into the universe she's in. But I do agree with you. If anyone's gonna whoop the Hap's ass, it has to be Steve. Like no bullshit. I want him to go and beat the crap out of Hap.
But before that, you were saying, like, it sounds like Steve loves Prairie, but I mean, he's with Angie. I mean, if Angie understands this, she might leave him.
I mean, does Steve really love Angie?
I don't know. He probably doesn't.
Because I think the thing is, I think Steve loves the OA.
But why, though?
Because when it comes to the OA, she was the only one to actually give him the time of day. Remember, everyone just chalked it up to Steve being a bully. Steve is that, Steve is this. But the OA actually saw him for more than his exterior would allow other people to see him. Other people just thought he was a dick bully. But Prairie actually cared about him, and she gave him a sense of purpose. Because Steve just wanted to belong to a group of people, and no one would give him the time of day. And
Yeah, but doesn't Angie accept him, though? Like,
not really, because remember, Angie said she was only with him to better her sex life, and then she
no,
started,
that wasn't Angie. That was the other girl.
that wasn't Angie in the first season.
Nah.
So where does Angie come from?
No, she was in that, like, remedial class.
Oh
Yeah, Angie. Yes, Angie, not the other girl.
Okay. That's my mistake. But even then, does she really love him, or is she just a badass kid who just wants to get into bullshit with Steve? Because remember, at the school,
I think she does.
there was a shooting. So when it comes to school shootings, it brings about the idea that trauma brings people together, and if trauma brings people together, it could also bring these characters together and make Angie hang out with Steve more often than actually caring about Steve, because they all went through a traumatic experience. But Steve has been obsessed since day one with DOA, and but after DOA's been gone, Steve was with Angie because Angie was the only one that's usually giving him the time of day, because as we saw, Frenchie wasn't really hanging out with the crew, Buck was moving away, and we have what's his name? Jesse, sorry. We have Jesse who was going through his
Jesus, even you. He's the easiest to disregard because he's the easiest to ignore. That's, oh my God.
I want to get into Jesse because I kind of feel bad for him, because Jesse in the first season was kind of there. And
He was just there.
And this season he was kind of there too. But in this season, what really hurt was the fact that he's always been there. Like he's been with the crew since the very beginning.
Yeah.
But no one paid him any mind, and without paying him any mind, he ends up taking his own life, which is tragic because notice when he said let's go, I believe when he told them to go to the island that they eventually went to, the prison or the mental institute that Hap was keeping Prairie in the second universe that they go to in the first universe, when they didn't go in there anyway, right? Remember, he was the one who actually brought up the fact that they should probably go there, and they basically told him to shut up, right?
And they just went there out of guilt.
And they went there out of guilt. But had they followed him, I believe he would have felt like he mattered in a sense, right?
Mm.
And maybe that was like his last cry of help, that he mattered. But it's weird. Like this show, his death really came off guard to me because it was like, shit. Just like when the show starts, like Jesse had no storyline, right? And then,
I mean, what was it? His father left. His mother committed suicide.
Yeah,
he was just living with his
sister.
Yeah,
and then that's pretty much it. So we, as the audience, when we're watching it, we're seeing Jesse as he's the odd man out because we know Michelle Buck has the whole
transgender thing.
Yeah, going on with her. Frenchie is
a homosexual scholar.
No, he's not a homosexual scholar. Frenchie is a minority homosexual junkie. Don't forget he's a junkie.
Yeah, but so he's not a scholar.
I mean, sure, we can say he's a scholar, but
it doesn't matter. Okay, all right, fine.
Like Frenchie life sucks if you think about it, because he's it doesn't suck per se, but he's every minority.
It sucks. He has to take care of his siblings because his mother's, just
a loser.
Terrible. Yeah, shit.
Yeah, I mean, all their lives suck. That's why Steve was so adamant that they should actually try to go to the other universe, because what are they actually staying there for? Like, what's the point?
But it's a lot easier for Steve because his parents doesn't know he's not at that, school. I guess a boot camp kind of school.
No, it's easier for all of them. It's easier for all of them to actually.
Not all of them. I mean, BBA cannot teach, and she was living at that hotel. Steve has no home to go to.
Okay.
Jesse also has no. I mean, he has his sister, but I guess it wouldn't be a big deal if he up and left.
Uh-huh. I
don't know about Angie, and Buck still has a family, and so does Frenchie.
But think about it this way, right? Oh, someone said hi. Think about it this way. If they leave their body, right, and they go to another universe, it's done. All their responsibilities are essentially gone at that point.
No, it's selfish and fine for them. But what about their family, people that care about them?
Who cares about them?
So I guess no one cares about French. No one cares about Buck. No one cares about Angie. No one cares about.
No. Okay, Angie. I'm not talking about Angie, for example.
Okay, fine. Fine for Angie.
Okay, when it comes to Buck, right?
Yes.
His name is Buck. They're still calling him Michelle.
The only one I called him Michelle that I remember was Kareem.
No. In the first season.
Oh, okay. About season 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, season 1. Okay, season 1. Shit. All right.
They're still calling him Michelle. He's getting bullied at school, and then now he finally has some friends, right? And his mom's like, fuck it, we're moving. And then when it comes to Frenchie, like, his mom gives zero fucks. His little brothers and sisters, or his little brothers, don't care. Like, you saw him, he sniffed crack at 7 a.m., Steven.
It's 7 in the morning. Oh my god.
It's way too early.
Shit.
To be sniffing crack. So their lives itself doesn't.
No, crack is always good. Any time of day.
You know who I want to get into right now?
Oh.
I want to get into Homer.
Homer. Every time I see him, I always get this feeling he's supposed to be like this unsung hero of the show, but I don't really get anything from him. Like I don't see it.
Yeah, let me get into Homer really quick. Because if in all the characters in the OA, the character I dislike the most is Homer.
Is Homer? Why?
Yes. Homer,
Why do you?
Let me get into my Homer bag really quick, right? Because when it comes to Homer, the very notion of who Homer is as a character bothers me. Homer has no real quality. Prairie's in love with him, and
Yeah.
I take that as a form of Stockholm syndrome, right? Because
Oh shit.
think about it. Homer did nothing but be a nice guy to her, right? I mean, sure, like the only nice guy there, but Prairie's willing to traverse the universes for Homer. But then Homer really had my biggest problem with Homer, and the biggest thing I had with Homer is the fact that back on Earth 1, when they went after Renata. Yes, when he went with
Just
Renata.
because of that?
No, not because he slept with Renata, but the fact
Okay.
that he willingly participated in helping
And her-
Hap
and,
take Renata. That was a problem. Homer's not a hero. Homer's not a hero. He was just stuck with Prairie, and Homer's in the second season. Homer was stuck in Dr. Roberts' body or within Dr. Roberts' subconscious, right? And it wasn't until Prairie became Nina or merged with Nina and got into Homer that he actually remembered who he was. But at the same time, the very character of Homer, like in the second season as Dr. Roberts, he idolized Hap. In the first season,
Yeah, no, like you just guff his fucking dick. Shit.
and in the first season, he was so much into helping getting Renata is the straw that broke the camel's back with me for Homer. Like, I don't like the character of Homer. I think he's the most useless character. Homer added nothing. Okay, let me not say added nothing to the evolution of Prairie, but at the same time, Scott did more for the crew than Homer. Actually, my favorite thing about Scott is when Scott got to the new universe, when he was in the universe, and the first thing Scott does is fucking choke Hap, right?
Shit, it could have been him.
Yeah, exactly. It could have been Homer. But Homer is being portrayed as this unsung hero. And for the first 2 seasons, the whole thing is Prairie trying to get back to Homer to save Homer, right? That's the premise of the first 2 seasons. And the moment she saves Homer, the first thing he does is get shot by Hap. And now, instead of defeating Hap, they have to go to another universe. And now Prairie's going to have to find Homer again in this new universe, right?
My God. I just keep thinking that maybe like there's some idea that love, transcends dimensions or some shit.
Love does transcends dimensions. I will agree with that, because Prairie's love for Homer is causing her to transcend to these different dimensions and universes, and Steve's love for Prairie is having him follow her. But Homer did Homer ever try to find Prairie?
I mean, can't really say that. I mean, we can't say that in season 2, and I don't think he really loves her in season 1. And although he did go back to her, but
yeah, but the character of Homer himself is weird to me. But you know what I want to dive into? Actually, I really want to dive into the house.
That house,
That house. At first, I tried to understand just what it was, right? What was about that house? But the more I thought about it, I think the house itself is like, again, a dimensional nexus between I feel like Universe 2 has like a nexus point, and the people who built the house created it as a way to manage traversing through different dimensions. That's why you have the game with the doors, and that's why that when you finally get to the rose-colored glasses, you open it.
stupid ass game.
I like the game. I would have failed it, but I like it.
That damn first puzzle. Oh,
What's above the sea
Yeah,
but
well-
below the clouds?
no,
Was that it?
No, it was what's above the sea but below the stars.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
Bullshit. Pure fucking bullshit.
yeah. I wouldn't have got it.
Now you said earlier that everyone loses their mind. What about I forgot her name, but Zendaya's character. She didn't lose her mind. She
Oh yeah, Zendaya's character. She didn't lose her mind, but what happened was she never got to the top. She was stuck in that mirror room, if you remember.
yeah, I remember.
And that mirror room is a puzzle, and once you go past, because we saw when Kareem went through that mirror room, he figured out the puzzle and then he made it up. And Zendaya's character, when he found her, she was old, and by her being old, it seems that in this show, not only are dimensions weird, but time itself is a bit weird, because when Homer has his NDE in the first season, and we see that he jumped to the future, right? Because in the second season we see the hand and stuff like that. So it seems time is relative. It looks like Zendaya's character. It seems like Zendaya's character actually she aged while she was there because she was trying to find it, but once they removed her from that, it reverted her back to her normal age. So she never really got to the next level. So she probably would have died or lost her mind at a certain point had Kareem not gone there. And Kareem is the only one who actually get there. But I want to talk about another interesting character, Elias, the FBI agent.
Oh yeah.
Now this one
I just assumed that maybe he was possessed when he was talking to him in season 2, but
no. I believe him. I believe him in the second season, because in the first season we saw him sneaking around Prairie's house.
Yeah, that was random. I don't know why he was doing that.
No, he says he's her protector, right? So,
I guess I just dismissed it. Maybe like he took a particular interest in her.
Oh no! At first in the first season, I thought he was just a psychologist working for the FBI and just being a nice guy, and he's just really good at his job. But when he showed up in the moment he did nothing to Frenchie, when he found Frenchie in the house, I suspected there might be more to his character, because as an FBI agent, you see a kid sneaking around a prime witness's home, that's cause for concern. However, he gave Frenchie a card, and I feel like that was him knowing that Frenchie's part of her inner circle. If anything ever happens to the OA, they can contact him and he could be a part of it. I really wish they would have expanded more on his character, because there's a lot of characters we don't have much expansion on. There's him. There's also Kareem, who we're just theorizing that he is the watcher of the dimensional nexus. And then now we have Elias saying that he is the protector of the OA. So it seems like everyone...
And there's that woman, I forgot her name, that...
I don't know. Who can choose her jumps, right?
Yeah, like she I don't know why she gave Hap the idea to create 5 robotic cubes that can do the movements for him without the need for anybody else.
Well, she did say that Hap and Prairie are intrinsically linked throughout dimensions, not just Hap and Prairie, but Homer as well, and that extends to the supporting cast, like, because when they did the dance and they ended up in the second universe, notice how they're all still part of that same circle. They were inside that what's it called, that asylum. They were all there together. And when you get to the other universe Netflix, excuse me, we also see that they're all cast in the same show. And not only that, when it comes to the boys, they're also intrinsically linked as well, because in the second universe we see that even though they never met Nina, they were like this close to her, if you think about it, because Michelle was playing the game, and you see Steve, Frenchie, and Jesse, Hap already has them. So no matter where Nina was, it seems like those characters were so close to her. So maybe that whole group are intrinsically linked together, and therefore maybe there's some greater purpose to what's going on between Hap and Nina, because I don't understand why she would give Hap the robots for Hap to be able to traverse to different dimensions.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, why help him out?
There has to be a reason, because remember when Old Knight, the octopus, when he was talking to...
telepathic octopus.
The telepathic octopus that Kareem killed, right?
Shit.
Well, yeah, remember when Old Knight was talking to Prairie, and he was talking about how he knew who she was, and I feel like they all have a certain understanding of just who Prairie is as a character, or the OA. Because not just Old Knight, but if you remember that episode where the trees were talking to her and telling her how she can't defeat Hap alone, she's gonna have to rely on her friends to help her defeat this great evil. But she didn't listen, because she still confronted Hap by herself. And even though
I thought she was gonna get it, like she just started glowing and thought she was gonna fuck him up. Like,
oh yeah, no, she went full angel, and then that dove just flew at her, and it kind of knocked her back to the ground. So I feel like these characters, like I feel like the dove didn't just fly at her for no reason. I feel like they're trying to steer her, or us, the audience, down a certain path. Because if you think about it, all these great deities know who she is, but at the same time, they don't want to talk. Like, they're all speaking in riddles and clues to her, and none of them are actually telling her what her purpose or what's going on, because so she has to actually figure everything out herself, which I like as a show and the concept, because as she's figuring it out, we're figuring it out. But Prairie as a main character kind of is a little slow, if you ask me. No, really. She is like,
well, damn.
She knew about dimension hopping. She knew about jumping through different dimensions. But at the same time, when she got to Earth 2, she let them believe, like, she started walking around telling these people about the craziness. Do you know how crazy it sounds if you're a famous rich person who collapses on a boat and then you get back up and you're telling people, I'm not from here, I'm from another universe. Like, who are you people? Why do I look this good? Because we can say what we want. So Universe 2 Prairie is fine.
Shit. Like, damn.
But yeah, so when it comes to the OA, there's the resolving theories that I have are, one, Kareem is going to be in the next season, because Kareem plays a bigger role, because Old Knight did say Kareem was her brother. So if Kareem is her brother, Kareem is now fully understanding, or maybe he's starting to see that he has some bigger connections a part of this. So I believe Kareem is going to show up in the second season, because he is the brother of the original Angel, and I would say he's the guardian of the dimensional nexuses. He's the one that the house called for. He's like, maybe like the watchtower, the one who's if the OA can traverse to every universe at will, right? He's
not at will, but okay.
Kind of at will. Well, not at will, but
if anything, the only ones that can do it, it seems like it's happened and that lady, because
the robots.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the OA does have this, like, she was glowing. She does have this extra dimensional power. So if she has that power, and then you have Kareem, who is the watcher of the house, or the keeper of the house, so he might be the guardian of the universal nexus, and therefore that explains why he's the OA's brother. And then you have the theory of Steve using his willpower to exert himself to wherever the OA is to protect her. Because again, when it comes down to Homer's been, like, Steve has done more for the OA than Homer has. Can we agree on that?
I don't know.
Steve was the one who found the 5 individuals to help the OA, right?
Okay.
Steve was
I guess
who performed the first move. Steve was part of the group who wasn't he the first one to get off the floor and start doing the movements during the shooting?
It seemed like they all did it simultaneously.
Yeah, they all did it simultaneously, but Homer wasn't there, so he doesn't count. So Steve did the movements.
Okay.
When it came down to it, Steve was the one who went to go find her in the second season, and he's actually the only one who jumped and got to her universe, where the universe Netflix with her. So Steve might be. And another thing, I have a theory about Steve. I almost forgot this. I think Steve is Rachel's brother.
That's okay. Why?
Because remember, in the first season, Rachel said she took her brother and they tried to run away together, right?
Okay.
Because their parents were terrible, like, were terrible to them. And she never said her brother died. She said when the accident happened, all she saw was his book bag. She never saw him, and they took her away.
Okay.
And then when we're in the second season and Prairie drew those images on the images of the boys, notice Rachel actually goes and puts her hand over Steve's picture, right?
Damn, I'm missing out on a lot. Shit, gotta watch it again.
Yeah, so if my theory is true, Steve is Rachel's brother, and that kind of explains his initial connection to the OA. Because if Rachel was part of their initial group of angels with the OA in Hap's prison, and then Rachel goes back home, the first person she actually takes and gets akin to, like, it's not even akin to, Steve actually went and connected with her. He's the one who snuck into her room and gave her the internet and all of that. So his bond through her via Rachel, and you have Rachel touching his image. And then when Rachel left, and not left, when Hap killed her, and her soul traversed to Universe 1, she went.
Which I don't understand.
She went. Exactly. It makes sense if Steve is her brother, because she was able to actually go to Steve's neighborhood, but of course Steve doesn't live there anymore, and no one left their door open, so she settled for Buck, who still kept the door open. But
I mean, why is you dying in one universe cause your subconscious to transfer back to the previous dimension?
Because it's like almost multiversal law, if there's such a thing, right? Because think about it, Rachel isn't from Universe 2. So let's say the consciousness is your soul, right? Your soul.
Okay.
When she died in the second universe, the Rachel of that universe, her consciousness and her soul resides there. So Rachel's consciousness has to revert back to her original, where it came from. You get what I'm saying?
All right. Seems like bullshit.
Now the question is, so that's my theory. Steve and Rachel are brothers, but you just gave me a good question. At the end of the second season, Prairie does the dance, and she traverses to Universe Netflix, leaving Universe 2 behind, right? So is Nina...
she didn't do the dance. Everyone from Dimension 1 did the dance.
Yeah, no, they sent her away. Hap's robots and the dance, and she... long story short, her consciousness traversed to Universe Netflix, for example, right?
Okay.
So now that she's in Dimension Netflix, what happens to Prairie? Not to Prairie. What happens to Nina?
In Universe, or in Dimension 2?
Yeah.
Their bodies. What happens to their bodies? I don't know.
No, we know what happens to their bodies. Like, if you leave your consciousness, your body just lays there. Like, I thought you had to... Because first we thought you had to die to traverse universes, but Michelle disproved that when she came back to her own body. But I want to say, what happens to Nina's consciousness is what I'm asking. Because her consciousness isn't the one that traversed. It's Prairie's consciousness that traversed. So would it mean that her consciousness would stay in her initial body?
I think it would.
So now...
I just remember because... It reminded me of this book I read a while back called Transmigration, where this main character had this ability to... Every time he approached near death, he would always hop to the consciousness of a person that he was close to, not so much in proximity, but he was acquainted with. Okay. And every time he left, he always left like a piece of himself with them. And I guess he always like changed them. Like there was this one girl that was like mentally retarded, but after he like entered her body and left, her IQ jumped up to like 120.
So he left a little bit of himself in there, right?
I guess he like influenced them.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm assuming. So now it begs the question that season 3, for example, right? Let's say it goes with the same premise that all the seasons are 8 episodes. This one, we had 6 episodes in Universe 2 and 2 episodes in the first universe, right? But now in season 3, we have Dimension 1. The boys in BB is the one in Fugitive. Jesse's dead, and now you have Steve's lifeless body for Buck, BBA, and Frenchie to deal with, right? So
shit.
So their life is fucking tremendously ruined, right? So at that point, we have to follow them along. We have to follow what's going on with them, right?
Mm.
We also have to follow what Prairie, Steve, Homer, and Hap are doing in Universe Netflix, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we still have Kareem as well as Nina.
That's gonna be kind of trippy because
right?
they're playing characters of themselves in a show.
But then Steve is there to whoop Hap's ass, so they're gonna be like,
he better.
No, so he's gonna attack Oscar Isaac, the actor. I said Oscar Isaac, Jason Isaacs.
Yeah,
he's going to jail then.
I mean, I don't know what he might do. I just hope that he does.
No, Steve is hot-headed, so of course he's going to attack him, right?
Mm.
So if he does that, he's in deep shit because you can't attack another actor, especially if Prairie, if it goes the way I think it's going, Prairie hit her head, So she might,
Oh, amnesia.
not remember the fucked up shit Hap did. Because remember, Hap said, "I'm going to a universe where you love me."
Ah, this guy's desperate.
He loves her. You never been in love?
Nope.
It's rhetorical.
Shit, not there.
So I'm interested to see how they manage cramming 3 dimensions in 8 episodes.
So he wants to go into universe, so then he actually can control it then.
It's about will. Remember, he ate he ate the little flower that the robots were doing. I have to say, as much as I love the OA, it lost me every time a Hap ate a leaf.
All right.
Because think about it, we're watching a show that's solemn at times, right, and very somber. We can agree it's a very somber show, and then they're discussing and exploring ideas of life after death, transdimensional consciousness, the soul, and all of that, and it's some pretty heavy stuff. And then you have the main villain, who's a total dickbag, doing his evildoer spiel, right? And then he goes, he takes a leaf, and he's just like,
And he just fucking eats it.
I have to say, like, that was the most ridiculous thing about the show. Like, in a show where we're talking about doing
That was the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah, that's
Not this random telepathic octopus that came out of nowhere and is sucking on Nina's arm and shit.
That's what I'm saying. The octopus. The thing is, the octopus was weird, right? But it fit right into the OA as a part of weird shit. Because come on, it's a show about people doing interpretive dancing to traverse universes, and then now, and in a world where we can say that the OA takes place in our time period, right? Or similar time period to our own.
Parallel. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're able to create robots that can do interpretive dancing.
Yeah, that was weird. That seems pretty futuristic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So now the concept of time really does play into it, because let's say that woman comes from an alternate time, because we know the NDEs and traversing, it's like the OA, it's here's my thing. The second season answered a lot of questions that the first season had, right?
And raise some more.
It raised way more questions. Like, there's so many things going on. So what about Pierre Ruskin, sorry, Nina's boyfriend on Earth 2?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
What's his role besides being her boyfriend?
In relation to this whole dimensional traveling thing?
Yeah, because he seems pretty obsessed with it. So that means they knew about it. But we know Nina of Dimension 2 is not the OA. Prairie's the OA. So which raises another question, because if you remember, the octopus said that, I know who you are, you're the OA, and Nina was just a medium, right? The octopus said Nina was just a medium. So that goes to show, like, Nina, Prairie, and Britt from Universe Netflix, while they're the same people, they're not the same people because they're not DOA. Only Prairie's DOA.
So then what does that mean for, I guess, Prairie and Universe Netflix? If Nina's a medium, then what is she?
The Universe Netflix one?
Yeah.
I don't know, because her name isn't Brit. I wonder if she was still born to the same Russian family. Because so far, the first two universes were parallel in that sense.
She probably is. I don't know. So I guess, yeah, that tree that goes this way and this way. I guess maybe the third one's gonna, it's gonna go this way. But I guess they all have to be some sort of connected somehow.
They have to be connected somehow. Maybe her father's Russian. I didn't look into it. Let me actually look into it now. Brit Marling, because it's not while it's not our universe, it's pretty similar. So I can look into it. Brit Marling is not Russian. She's from Chicago, Illinois.
All right.
Let's see.
She's not married to Hap.
She's not married to Hap. Let's see. She grew up in Illinois.
No, maybe.
Wait, she was named Brit after her Norwegian maternal grandmother. Norwegian. So she is from Europe, I guess. So maybe cheese. That'd be pretty cheesy of them, right? To go back a few generations and say that that's where her family branched off. You get what I'm saying? Because if she's from Norwegian, they come from the original, the same area as Russia. Like there's Norway and then the Eastern European countries and then Russia. So they're part of that same Scandinavian heritage in a sense.
Okay.
So they could be branching out to two different time frames or time periods.
Why?
I mean, to make because
But
if she's not Nina at birth, she just looks like if she's not Nina at birth, right? She just looks like Prairie and Nina. How are they gonna tie that in? Or maybe because it's not our universe.
So she has to be not Prairie in order for
to
have to.
She'd have to be Prairie for a Prairie to be able to jump into her, right?
Does she have to be? I mean, just
you can't unless you can just jump into random people's bodies.
No, not random people, but I guess
someone who looks like you.
Why not? Not someone that looks like you, but that's pretty much them, just not them consciously.
I mean, that could work.
So he has to find a universe where she isn't, anything close to Prairie or Nina, in order for him to, or I guess for her to love him.
Hap?
Yeah, that's what he wanted. I mean, and you're talking about, branching off, I guess, so she has to be as far, as distant
as she could possibly be, while still being herself, in a sense.
While still having some sort of connection that's ever so slight.
God, Hap is such a... Hap's a piece of work. But...
I loved when he had the gall to ask Scott for help, and just right in his face.
Yeah,
right in his fucking face.
You know who to help them? Homer.
Yeah, dick right in ass.
I told you I'd severely dislike Homer. But anyway, this video has been going on for almost an hour, so let's put it to the end. Anyway, guys, that's our interpretation and breakdown of the OA. Our theories, our ideas, our discussions. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about the OA. What theories are you guys interested in? If you have any links and stuff like that, let us know in the comment section below, because this show is really fascinating and I'd love to spend more time exploring and talking about the OA with you guys. So if you like the video, definitely hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you guys haven't already, and until next time, binge on.